So let's do it. Foot down on the brake, on the accelerator. These sounds aren't final. Here we go. Oh my God, that is so fast. 0 to 100 in seconds. It's just, honestly, it's one of the most realistic situations you will ever feel with a dual clutch that isn't even a real dual clutch. Hey guys, this is really exciting. I'm here at Namyang in Korea and I'm with one of the cars I have been looking forward to driving for so long. It is of course the Hyundai IONIQ 6N. This is the new end product from Hyundai. It is essentially their flagship end product. It comes even crazier than a regular IONIQ 5N, which we've already driven back home in Australia, but like I said, they've just unveiled this and there's a lot to it. So today I'm gonna let you know everything you need to know about the Hyundai IONIQ 6N. How does it look? What's the interior like? And all of the changes that come with it. And of course, we're going to drive it, launch it, and see just how fast it is from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. I'll give you my final thoughts on why I think you should be bloody excited as well. Let's get into it. Alrighty, let's talk about the way that this thing looks because frankly, it is epic. Now, interestingly, it is a little bit longer than a regular IONIQ 6 by 15 millimeters. The wheelbase is actually 2,915 millimeters, which is 15 millimeters longer in wheelbase. These wheels have been pushed forward slightly, yet it's got a shorter overhang. So the front end is actually different to a regular IONIQ 6. Still the same parametric pixel headlights with these cool turning signals, bright LEDs as well. We've also got functional aero to streamline air across the side. One of the issues they had was trying to make sure that it could stay aerodynamic despite being a performance EV. And I think they've kind of nailed it, to be honest. I love the blacked out badging there. And down the bottom, you're gonna see a bunch of active aero too, with of course the signature orange for the N. And this is a new paint as well. It's called Performance Blue Pearl. Got some flakes through it and it looks absolutely incredible. Let's check out the side. Okay, let's talk about the side now. You're gonna see these 20-inch wheels, so slightly smaller than a regular N-Line, which is 21-inch, but it does mean you get these fatter tires to them and they're wrapped in Pirelli P0s too, which are a pretty decent tire, as you'll see when we take this thing on the track. You've also got big end brakes here. This thing definitely needs it because it weighs well into the 2 tons. It is a heavy beast, frankly. It's also got a little bit of aero. They can't cover up too much, otherwise this will overheat and you'll start to see glowing red brake calipers. You have a 360 camera with more parametric pixels. I like this orange detailing down the bottom. Flush door handles as well for aerodynamics because it's still an EV, needs to be as aerodynamic as possible. And then one of the really cool things is that the rear track versus the front track is actually 60 millimeters wider, 30 millimeters on each side. And so as a result, this is actually quite different to a regular IONIQ 5N. It's got a shorter wheelbase, but a wider track as well at the rear. The design was actually led by a guy called Manfred, who has been at Porsche for many, many years as part of their ride and handling and chassis tuning. So this has a lot of Porsche influence to it, even though it's not directly Porsche influence, you know what I mean. So it will drive very differently from an IONIQ 5N, as you'll see, which is why it's so exciting to me. And a very teardroppy shape, but I think the arse is my favorite angle. Okay, let's talk about the arse on this thing because yeah, I really, really like it as well. Not everyone loves the IONIQ 6 looks, but frankly, especially with this facelift, I think they've nailed it. I like these taillights and I like the little dots inside. That's actually for the N, and the N-Line also has it because of course it's a copy of this. I think they call it a gateway car to the N brand, which is pretty hilarious. You have a big ducktail spoiler here, a hidden Hyundai badge, and that's because it's hidden under this massive spoiler here, which is actually functional aero. You've got a couple of cameras here, which is pretty interesting too, and a very aggressive diffuser. And of course you have your N badge and there's a speaker underneath as well. That's a new thing. They've upgraded the speaker so it sounds better. If we open up the boot, you're gonna notice that there is actually quite a lot of space in here, but it is impacted because there are bracing bars on the inside. And so yes, you can drop the rear seats, but it's really hard to load anything through because this is the stiffest N to date. Alrighty, let's check out the interior. Alrighty guys, let's talk about the interior now of the Hyundai IONIQ 6N. It's extremely quiet in here. In fact, it's like one of those weird anechoic chambers. It's very, very quiet. I quite like it. The design in here is also absolutely fantastic. So new for the Hyundai IONIQ 6N is actually the N mode stuff. So when you go into the display, you can change a bunch of different things, including the new N active sound. So they've actually gone from a mono setup to a stereo sound setup. So instead of just one sound coming through all the speakers, it actually differentiates. It's not final yet, but check this out. This is ignition. The other thing you will notice is that the ambient lighting in here and also on the tachometer, that does all change. Sorry, I wasn't even in proper N mode. Louder now. Yeah, so very, very cool. And I love how you have a rev counter now for your lighting inside. There's evolution. And then there's supersonic. All of these are not final, and I can tell they're not final. In the IONIQ 5N, it is definitely louder across the board, but still very, very cool. And apparently it will sound better than this. So I'll take their word for it. The wireless charger, it seems to work actually very well with Samsungs. I wonder what phones Korean engineers have. You have a little storage area here, a couple of cup holders, more storage. These seats, now these are straight out of a Hyundai IONIQ 5N. They feel really nice, Alcantara and leather. I also love the fact that the N badge lights up too. You have heated and cooled seats and a heated steering wheel. Speaking of, this steering wheel is straight from an IONIQ 5N, but that's not a bad thing. It's such a cool design. You have your custom N buttons here. You can set them to really whatever you want. And it's cool because when you change between the different drive modes, the display of course does change and you just get quite a lot of different modes. You can customize it really how you want, but it's not too much, if that makes sense. It's very, very good. You've also got a bunch of buttons here, which do feel quite clicky and nice. And you can get a factory supported aftermarket wheel that's Alcantara, and you gotta get that one. It just feels so, so good. And I also love that they've done things like keep the physical air conditioning controls and also the controls for the display here as well. I didn't mention wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. So this whole interior setup is really, really good. A couple of misses though. One, the seats are actually fully manually adjusting. I don't mind that. It does save a little bit of weight, but not much weight needs to be saved in a car that weighs close to 2.5 tons. And also storage in here is pretty damn good, but I would not say it is exceptional. It's just okay. And the material qualities too, they just feel a little bit cheap for a car that will probably cost somewhere around 110,000 Australian dollars before on-road costs, because that's what the IONIQ 5N costs, and under the skin, this has pretty much the same stuff. So yeah, some different things, but still it's gonna be about the same price, which is a lot of money. Let's check out the back seat. Now the back seats in the IONIQ 6N are frankly fantastic as well. At 5'11", I've got heaps of headroom, legroom is enormous, toe room is good up until you start to jam your feet up in front of you, but who's doing that? The bad thing about this is the leg angle. Because the battery lives in the floor, my legs, they're just not at a good angle. So that isn't great. These seats though, they do feel fantastic as well. You do have a fold down center armrest with a couple of cup holders and yeah, soft-ish touch materials back here. Also heated seats, which is pretty cool. And actually quite a decent amount of storage in here. It's a good setup. It is a good setup. However, is it the best in the world? Probably not. But you know what is the best in the world? CarSauce Buy. That's right. We have our car buying service, CarSauce Buy, where we will get you the absolute best price on pretty much any new car. You guys have absolutely loved the service. Thousands of you have used it and have saved yourself so much money. We literally make dealers fight each other to get you the best price possible. You will always save if you buy through CarSauce Buy. So if that sounds good to you and you want to buy a car with no obligations, if you don't want to go through with it, Google CarSauce Buy and our dedicated team of car buyers will help you. Let's launch it and see just how fast it is. Alrighty guys, so now we are going to launch the Hyundai IONIQ 6N. This is so exciting. I've wanted to do this for ages. This is a pre-production, so keep that in mind. But as you're gonna see, it will still melt your face off. I'm pretty certain the engineers have put some jus in this thing because yeah, it's fast. So we have our specialist timing gear even here in Korea. There's an N launch control button, but because it's pre-production, it's just fully set in launch control at any moment. We also have our battery temps perfectly set between 30 to 40 degrees. So this should give us optimum launch. So let's do it. Foot down on the brake, on the accelerator. These sounds aren't final. Here we go. Oh my God, that is so fast. Okay, 0 to 100 in 3.4 seconds. That is insanely fast. In fact, I want to do that test one more time, and then I'm also going to test the braking from 100. All right, so we got 0 to 100 in 3.39 seconds for the IONIQ 5N. Let's see what we can get now with the IONIQ 6N. Round 2, here we go. The sounds are so silly. Here we go. Oh my God, that feels faster. All right, and braking. Oh, okay, holy shit. So exactly the same 0 to 100 time of 3.39 seconds and a 100 km/h to 0 in 2.79 seconds. More importantly, a 35.51 meter stop. That's really good. So not only can this thing accelerate fast, it's also really good at braking. Fantastic. All right, let's drive this thing as normally as we can here in Korea. Okay, let's talk about the IONIQ 6N's powertrain before we drive it. So it's the same as what you'll find in an IONIQ 5N, and that is not a bad thing. So it's an 82.5 kilowatt hour NMC battery. It's got some really cool tech, like you can set the temperature range of the battery. For example, if you're doing an endurance, you could have it on the cooling to keep it between, what is it, 20 to 30 degrees. If we do drag like we did earlier, it's 30 to 40 degrees. So yeah, it's got some really incredible tech. It has a bunch of other things, like you can change the torque distribution now of the IONIQ 6N. So you can have it 100% to the rear if you want to. Obviously that just shuts off the front motor, or you can play around with that. In its normal state, it has 448 kilowatt of power, 740 newton meters of torque. If you press this red button here that says N Grin Boost, that gives you 478 kilowatt of power and 770 newton meters of torque. This thing is insanely quick. It's an absolute weapon. And now we're going to see how it drives. So one of the things that they have done for this is they have changed the gearing ratios. So they're actually shorter ratios now, which makes it just a bit more engaging and a bit more, well, like a sports car, you know, because otherwise it's much like a Porsche 718 Boxster, which has very long gearing. You'd find that like an IONIQ 5N, which is good, but this allows you to do things, as you'll see as we go through this pretty interesting course here. But if we put our foot down, so yeah, it has a lot. It just has much shorter gear ratios and it feels better for it. The other thing that they've changed, a really big thing, is the dampers. So now it uses ZF dampers versus the Hyundai IONIQ 5N. And those ZF dampers are, they call it semi-active. That's it. I've got an engineer sitting next to me. They're called semi-active dampers. Now, they're actually more advanced than fully adaptive dampers, because not only are they electronically controlled, but they actually use different sensors from around the car to constantly adjust them. So we're in N mode right now, and they're at their stiffest, but if we do hard cornering, it'll actually make it even more stiff. So one of the really cool things is that I can barely talk, this thing is so fast. The center of gravity is much lower than a regular IONIQ 5N. And so what that translates to is this thing, it actually just feels more like a sharp tool as opposed to the IONIQ 5N, which feels kind of crazy. This feels like no matter where you point it, it will simply go. And I did some drifting earlier in it, and yeah, this thing is one of the best drifters out there, frankly, for what it has. It's genuinely extremely impressive. And if we go through here, I just want to show you these shifts, because a lot of people say that electric cars don't have any soul, and I would agree with 99% of them, except for the people who own an IONIQ. Because when you go through these gears, it's just, honestly, it's one of the most realistic situations you will ever feel with a dual clutch that isn't even a real dual clutch. Genuinely impressive. And finally, the big change here with the way that this thing drives is actually just with its handling. So it's got sharper handling versus an IONIQ 5N. And you can really tell when you're doing these kind of like harsh turns here, it is so precise. And I think that's my biggest takeaway, is that versus an IONIQ 5N, this thing is more of a scalpel, it's more of a sports car, and the fact that it still weighs like 2,150 kilograms will get you about, you know, 450 kilometers in the WLTP. And yes, it's expensive, but I have to say, I think it's worth it. It puts such a smile on your face, unlike any other car. So yeah, overall, I'm really impressed by the way that this thing drives. It's so fast, it's rapid, it handles well, it's comfortable when you're just driving around. For example, in normal mode, it simply is just a really good all-rounder. And I think that when we have more time behind the wheel in Australia, it's going to be even more impressive to me. So yeah, I think the engineers have nailed this one. Really cool. All right, let's get into our final thoughts. Alrighty guys, final thoughts now on the Hyundai IONIQ 6N. What do I think? Well, frankly, I think it's absolutely epic. It will blow your mind in the way that it drives. I love the look of it as well. I think they've really nailed it. The previous IONIQ 6 was not very good, but this is very good. Depends what the pricing will be when it comes to Australia. It will probably be like the IONIQ 5N, so quite expensive. But if you want something that is so much fun and genuinely puts a smile on your face, even if it is an EV, it has to be an end product from Hyundai. They've absolutely nailed it. Really good job. Let me know what you guys think though, again, down in the comment section below. Of course, if you want to buy any new car, check out CarSauce Buy, and also TechSauce, our new channel. We'll link that down below for the latest and greatest in technology. Ciao for now.